you're writing an article about this thing. It's going to be difficult to tell the truth. I mean, I'm not always able to. Bad stuff, you know. You're going to record this. Okay, sure. 3 years ago, more like 2.5, I met this man. My husband had been dead 8 years. Cardiac arrest in the car coming back from work. And after he died, I was always looking for another partner. I was afraid it wouldn't happen, and not love. I was looking for passion in my life. It wasn't like that with my husband. We had a sweet relationship, like honey in a sieve, sweet. But I missed having passionate sex. But we did have a good marriage. We did love each other. We were best friends. But after he died, I was always looking. I wanted that passion. I didn't know if I would have a chance. I mean, you know, maybe I was too old. But I kept looking, and along came Alan. Caught my eye right away. And I caught his, or that's what he says. It wasn't at a bar or anything. I know it. I don't do bars, and it sounds nutty, but it was at a library. A branch library. You know how those are. Chairs for the kids, tables with magazines spread out, newspapers on racks, and volunteers manning the checkout counter, usually a woman, but this time it was this 60-something man. Alan is all it said on his nameplate. He was new to the desk. I went there a lot, and he was new. Strapping guy, clean shaven, no stupid little beard like you see nowadays. Good eyes, dark brown. You could see right into them, deep down. He looked right at me. Lust at first sight. Later it became a compulsion. Well, that day I was looking for a specific book, The Go-Between. Do you know that book? L.P. Hartley wrote it. It's about a 12-year-old boy who acts as a secret messenger between an engaged upper-class woman and a farmer who lives nearby. Julie Christie and Alan Bates played the couple in the movie. Oh, excellent casting. I loved that film. Anyway, in the end, the couple is caught making love, and then, I think I have this right, some children die, and the farmer feels responsible, so he kills himself. The boy, he never marries. Love results in death, is the way he sees it. Well, Alan got the book for me, brought it to me himself, and then he asked me, was there anything else I wanted? His voice was amazing. I could feel it deep down. I mean, all the way down. And just like that, he asked me out to dinner. We went out to dinner that night. We ended up sleeping together. I had never done anything like that, and it was instantly satisfying. No more honey in a sieve. It was more like that song, Lightning in a Vein, you know? Alan was a great cook. So we spent many, many nights at his place. Lobster, caviar, shrimp risotto with arborio rice, duck on Thanksgiving instead of turkey. Just the two of us, no other guests. We had a fabulous house, 5 acres, antiques, a kitchen full of the best tools. I always wondered how he could afford all that, but I never asked. I liked the mystery, like maybe he had an inheritance from a wealthy relative. Maybe the library was just a way of giving back to the community. And I decided early on I would never ask him whether he had been married before. I didn't want to know anything negative about him. I mean, what if he had cheated on her or beaten her or something? I didn't want to know. What we had was perfect. We had listened to soulful music together. The Beatles, of course, and Stevie Wonder, and Phil Oakes. You know Phil Oakes' protest songs? He had bipolar disorder, killed himself. Alan was always reading good books, and he'd quote Shakespeare passages I had missed in that sexy voice. A glass of Australian wine and Shakespeare went well together. Then to bed. Alan thought I was smart. We both were. That was part of the attraction between us. And we were educated, interested in the world, although we never traveled. Like we talked about going to Spain or Italy, but something always came up, or he would say, let's just spend our vacations at his place or mine, cooking, reading, making love, whatever. I know. You want to know what happened? I'm getting there. I don't want to rush this. About halfway into the third year, Alice stopped working at the library. Said he was bored, that nothing happened there. Well, I'd go around to his house to find him. I had a key, but he wouldn't be there. And then when I'd ask him later about it, he'd answer kind of evasively about seeing this friend or another. Like I didn't know that much about him outside of our relationship. I wanted it to be a cocoon. And that's what it was. It was a lovely, passionate cocoon. So I became suspicious, jealous. I wanted to know where he was every minute, and I thought I saw a distance in his eyes. They actually lost some of their depth. I know, it sounds stupid. How can eyes lose depth? But I felt he was losing his fire for me. When my husband and I first dated, he was seeing a number of women, and I told him I wouldn't have it. I told him he couldn't do that, and he stopped, and we got married, and he never cheated on me. So I never had to be jealous. This, with Alan, I mean, I know I should have, I don't know, it shouldn't have hurt. I should have just let it go, but I couldn't. Alan was lying to me, and I could feel it. It became that compulsion I told you about. There's a dictionary word for it, limerence. The compulsive need for someone to have another person return their feelings. I needed Alan to give me back what I was giving out. And the more he stonewalled me, the more jealous I became and frightened, terrified, actually, that I was losing him. And myself. When I wasn't with him, I couldn't sleep. Sometimes I couldn't breathe. And I'd take Xanax to calm down, but nothing worked for very long. And have you ever been there? When nothing the other person says is believable. And then you think, you're not pretty anymore. Or you have bad breath. Or you're losing your ability to make someone happy. And I was crying. When I woke up, and during the day, and at night, and finally I told Alan desperately that we should get married. I know it's crazy, but I thought that was the only way I could keep an eye on him, that he couldn't cheat on me if I lived in his house. I thought it was the answer to everything. Well, Alan said he would think about marriage, but then, a few days later, he said he had to go to Italy on business. What business? Oh, just family stuff. Well, great, I said. We can travel. I'll go with you. Oh, no, that wouldn't work, he said. This was just bank stuff, and he'd be gone just a couple of days. But then, a few days after that, he simply called me from JFK to say he was off. Well, I knew what was going on. I knew he must have had some slut, some raggedy-ass young girl with him. It was no business, just the business of sex. And during those 2 weeks, yes, weeks, not days, I hardly slept. I drank a lot, I took Xanax, I almost OD'd. I wanted to die. When Alan came back, after those 2 weeks, he invited me to dinner. Same as always, nothing different, except in the kitchen, he told me that he had taken a 24-year-old grad student that he had met at the library, taken her to Florence and Rome, and that they were seeing each other for a number of months, and that she was infatuated with him. He had invited me to dinner to tell me that he had taken a slut to Italy. My reaction was so strange. On the inside, my blood was a cold boil, but on the outside, I was calm. Oh God, was I calm. Well, you could have told me before you left, I said. Oh, come on, Elizabeth, he said, as he was opening a bottle of wine that he brought back from Italy. Oh, maybe it was a little cowardly of me, but she's just a sidebar. We're the main act here, aren't we? My heart was going twice the normal rate. Suddenly, I hated him more than I hated anyone in my life. This is the end, I told him, and I picked up a kitchen knife and I stabbed him in the neck like this, sideways. He collapsed. Immediately, he bled out right in front of me. I felt jubilant. Well, you see, don't you? Either he had to die or I did. Oh, that's dinner. I have to go. It's wonderful here. They let you wear whatever you want to. The clothes you came in with, anything.